What is going on, golf fans? Welcome into our round 4 live stream. Hopefully, everyone is having a solid start to their weekend and has had a solid round 3 today. We went out there, we profited for Showdown, had a little sweat going there for most of the day, and then over there for props, made just over $4,000 overall. So can't complain anytime that's the case. So feel pretty good about it, celebrating with a few Crown and Cokes. I know it's a Chick-fil-A cup, but hey, it's the biggest cup I could find because I put a shit ton of Crown in here and I had to put a bunch of mixer, little Coca-Cola I had. So we had to pick a really big cup. So I went with my glass I used for a little bit of lunch. So cheers to everyone out there. Hopefully you had at least a little bit of success today and hopefully a lot of success. But let's not, rest on our laurels or anything like that. Let's go out there, run it back for Sunday and try and make it an even better end to the week. So going to go through DFS. We're going to go through some prop stuff, some weather, pretty much everything you need to know for tomorrow. So sit back. Maybe you're already sitting back with a drink at this point. Just ask any questions as they come up. And let's have ourselves a time out there for tomorrow. You got Jeremy, who went 4 of 5 with a push to get a 10x payout. You'll love to see it anytime you're going out there getting 1,000% ROI. That's always a good thing. What's going on? David says Brian Harman with the 54-hole lead. So a Brian Harman fan out there. Okay. We got Mark there. What's going on, Mark? Welcome into the stream. Branica with a huge turnaround for all straight slates. You'll love to see that. I appreciate you, Branica. Thank you for stopping on by. Welcome on in. What's going on to Peach? He says, Luke, the cheat code. Yeah, today was a little bit of a cheat code, huh? We went out there, printed money across the board. So it was pretty sweet. Bradley's calling me a time traveler, apparently. I can neither confirm nor deny that. Chick-fil-A Cup with the Crown and Coke has to be a top 5 boss move. Yeah, I had to, when we go out there and we smash on a slate, right? Some people would go out to a steakhouse, that kind of thing. I go out and I celebrate with a little bit of Chick-fil-A. It's my favorite meal. It's really shitty for you, right? It's got like 15 to 2,000 calories there in a meal. But hey, when you go out there and you smash for over $4,000, you can have a little bit of fast food. It's not going to kill you, at least not yet, right? Maybe down the road. I got you to Peach. Send me a message. Luke's from the future, blessing you. Again, I can neither confirm nor deny that. What's going on, Jonathan? Nico, Reed was perfect. Yeah, a little risky, but it worked out, huh? I thought it might play easier because of the pins. I thought that the rain was going to soften it up. And honestly, the pins might be slightly harder tomorrow. It's pretty much the same situation, right? I mean, we'll get into the weather here in a few minutes, but yeah, my read isn't changing all that much. Podium finish in your first contest. Yeah, speaking of, let's look at the community contest. That's first on the agenda. We're going to start talking about tomorrow's slate here, but let's see, right? Top 3 finish, AG Money right down there in chat. First off, welcome to the community contest. Damn good way to start, if I must say so myself. And yeah, well, second place finish in what? A 33 entry contest. For yet the second day in a row, I forgot to enter my lineup. So good shit, Luke, right? Going out there, not even entering your own contest. I guess I paid some of the rake for all of you guys out there. But good stuff, AG. Your lineup, let's see. -3, -5, -3, -4, -2, right? All 6 players under par. I feel like you should get a bonus for that, right? You get all your guys breaking 70 out there, or I guess just breaking par, right? Might be the metric. You should get a little bonus for that. But either way, good lineup, man. Solid stuff. Let's see. The winner was Europa. You had him over there. The same kind of thing, right? Everyone shot under par. So hats off to you, 261. That wasn't GPP winning sort of lineup, but that's like a top, 5 percentile kind of lineup. So definitely impressive stuff in a single entry kind of build. You had Rage of Reason in third place. Good stuff right down there in the Discord, and OG at this point. Straka down there, -5. Seeing your one real stinker, right? So like the thing that separates you from those other 2 players is really just Marcel Seam, who still got you 20 points, but like +3 with the conditions they had today, right? Was not going to get it done. So enter a lineup, right? Don't be me. I'm the only person who didn't enter a lineup today, and you're welcome for the free rake out there, I suppose, right? It's I guess it's going to a pretty good cause. Only the finest chicken tenders tonight. That's what I'm saying, right? I could go out there, buy a steak if I want to, but I prefer the Chick-fil-A, so we can do these streams, right? If I'm going out there with my buddies to a steakhouse, we wouldn't be live right now. Thanks for all the content. Smash them today. Absolutely. Seventh in the $33 single entry. Quite a payout then, I'd imagine, Brian. Nice. Grillo was your last guy on the course, kind of spun his wheels, or it could have been a first or a third. Yeah, the conditions late probably got you, Brian. The conditions late were a lot harder than I could have imagined, right? I threw out the narrative that I thought the morning would play easier. Of course, that ended up happening, right? Now, you may sort this by wave and say, oh, the PM wave was only like 0.2 shots harder, but let's sort this by your ceiling performances, right? -8 from John Rahm, AM wave. Alex Fitzpatrick, AM wave. Cameron Young, you could argue he was towards the afternoon, right? He was one of the guys maybe that you could have said was start towards the beginning of the PM wave, but everyone else here was AM wave. And if anything, right, the ceiling guys in the PM wave are like the Cam Youngs, who were like a midday tee time. So there was definitely a ceiling advantage, I would say, for the morning guys, right? It was apparent if you were watching, they weren't playing in the rain. They were out there on super receptive greens, and there was essentially no wind, right? If anything, the wind was helping you on a lot of the easier holes. So I think for tomorrow, we're going to be seeing a similar kind of thing because they're calling for the same kind of rainy conditions in the afternoon. They're calling for slightly higher wind gusts in the afternoon this time around. So the morning wave, I think, is going to be beautiful. I think you're going to see potentially some 5, 6, maybe even like 7. I don't know if we're going to see an 8 under par round again. I mean, just a master class from Rahm, right? That was the nuts showdown player in our player poll yesterday. But you're going to see some decent scoring, right? So probably 5, 6 under par rounds, like almost assuredly out there in the morning. So when we get to the player poll, get to some of the DFS strategy, we always got to consider placement. But the guys that are going off of what I think are going to be the nuts conditions, which we'll hop into the weather here right now, are going to be the guys that you at least want to take for values, right? At least for some of your leverage, and then try to mix in a few players at the top that pop and still give you those top 5 placement points. So let's talk about the weather. So in terms of your wind gusts and sustained winds, they definitely look a tick lower during the morning hours. So your sustained winds, particularly from like 8 to around midday, are in the single digit range, which is going to be huge for all the players out there. That should be extremely scoreable. And then when you take a look at the wind gusts, they're pretty much, I would say, consistent for most of the day. They do tick up a little bit there towards the latter half of the evening. But outside of that, right, it's looking very similar to today in terms of conditions. It's raining overnight, right? There's going to be a little bit of afternoon rain. So you definitely want to favor the AM wave, right? But the PM wave, you still did see a few solid performances. This has been the case for the entire week. Like there's always been a few guys from the bad wave that have gone out there and succeeded. And today it was only a 0.2 shot difference, right? So not nearly as much separation as you've seen for the first 2 rounds. But for tomorrow, maybe it is a bigger difference, right? Maybe we do see that 1 shot difference once again, like we saw there for Thursday or Friday, which is why I think taking some of the guys that maybe didn't get after the course today, right? Maybe, didn't have that 5, 6 under par round like a lot of the other studs did, are worth at least keeping in the back of the, your player pool, right? Maybe just considering for, 10 to 20% exposure, right? I'm not telling you to go out there and go all in on somebody that's teeing off early, but at the same time, I do think that there's utility given the conditions. So we'll hop into the player pool now. Let me take the weather off the screen there, and let's get through a few of the options that you might want to consider playing. So anytime you're playing Sunday Showdown, I always do this PSA on streams because every once in a while I hear somebody say like, oh, I didn't know that. If you're playing Sunday Showdown, guys, there are placement points. So kind of like you have for a main slate contest, you're going to get placement based on where somebody finishes. So first place gets, I believe it's 13 placement points, and it ticks down relatively quickly. It's like 8.5 per second. It's gets down to sub 5 points by the time you're getting to like 4th or 5th place. So by the time you're outside the top 10, right, you're talking about less than a birdie that you're getting for placement. So you don't want to overweigh it, right? In terms of like 1st, 2nd, 3rd place, like that matters. Those, extra, 15 to 20 points that you can lock in for placement matter when it's those top end finishers. But if you're just trying to get like a top 25 for players, I mean, that's negligible. That doesn't matter, right? I mean, you might as well play somebody in last place, right? That makes 1 more birdie. Then that guy that finishes in the top 25, it makes 1 less birdie. The guy behind them that makes the extra birdie will outscore them every single time. So Sunday Showdown is nuanced. I would say it's difficult sometimes to go out there and make plays. But my recommendations, my advice out there is to just know the board, right? Know where the ownership is going to be. So, right, obviously I have the ownership tab on here for this live stream, but over there on the Patreon page when I'm posting the showdown sheets, ownership is the name of the game for Sunday Showdown. All of the ownership, all of the exposure out there is really going to hunker around the guys at the top of the board. And if I just go ahead and sort this by score, right? We're not even going to sort this by ownership. We're just going to sort this by score. It's essentially going to sort it by ownership, which is the crazy part about this, right? So I'm like not even forcing this in, right? So all I did is went out there, I sorted it by score. We've got the leaderboard on the left. It's not exact, but for the most part, it's pretty much sorting it by your ownership, right? The guys that are at the top of the board are your highest owned players, and the guys that aren't playing so hot, right? Maybe spun their wheels or even played poorly today are essentially unowned, right? The whole way down the board. So it's very predictable when you're playing Sunday Showdown to know where the field is going to be. 45% on a Brian Harman might be a little bit light in single entries. He'll probably be closer to like 55 to even 60% in some of those single entries or higher dollar contests. But in any vein out there, right, you want to fade a lot of these top end players. Like they're quote unquote are getting placement points, right? But they still got to go out there and perform, right? Even if you're getting placement points for first place, that's the equivalent of just under 3 birdies, right? So first place is going to matter. I would say Brian Harman's a really tough fade because he does have a 5-shot lead at this stage, but he's also a player that could lose that lead, right? Could easily shoot like 3 over par, have 4 or 5, maybe even 6 players past him and become like completely irrelevant. Right now, I think that's a low percentage outcome. I would say that that's like a sub 25% outcome. So like 75% of the time, Brian Harman's going to be at least relevant tomorrow, right? Now, that doesn't mean he's going to be the GPP nuts play because all that has to happen is somebody in that 8K range, right? It could be a Cam Young, by the way. It doesn't have to be a Cam Young, though. Could go out there, just make 1-2 more birdies than him and pass him in terms of their score, right? And when you're talking about fine margins in those large field GPPs about what takes down contests, that could be the real difference maker. So I don't think you have to marry yourself to these players up here. I would take a few of them, though, right? If you're just fading everyone up here in the top 10 of ownership, well, you're going to be donating for Sunday Showdown, right? You're going to have a few of them in your player pool. In fact, let me see. Let me count them up, right? Off the top of my head, I have, I believe, 2 or 3 of those players. I think it's 2 of them. 2 of those like top 10 highest owned players on the slate. But if you see yourself with like 5, 6, or even like more than that, right, of these players in your player pool, then you probably want to reevaluate your process or your player pool just a little bit, right? It's probably a little bit too chalky. You're going to be dealing with issues with differentiation, with duplicating yourself, especially in larger field GPPs. And, I know it looks great on paper. Even their projected points, like if you're on the Patreon, you have it, not blacked out and whatnot, you'll see that these guys are projecting just off the board, right? Because of their implied placement points, but you still got to go out there and perform, right? You still got to go out there and have some sort of a respectable day. And from the long-term perspective, the plus EV strategy is to take a few of them, right? Take your, stands, right? Go out there, take a few guys as core plays, and then mix in a few pivots. So if you're on the Patreon, you can see the chalky plays that I'm taking, but there's really no rhyme or reason to selecting guys up top, right? Like take the horses that you think are going to have the best chance to hold their position and fade the guys that you think are going to fold like a cheap lawn chair. As I saw somebody comment on one of my videos the other day, it was like, oh, Brian Harman's going to fold like a cheap lawn chair. I tend to completely agree with that, right? So Brian Harman, by the way, I'll just tell you, right, I'm not playing. There's 0 chance in hell that I'm playing Brian Harman. Let's see, a few other just chalky plays that I don't think you should even consider playing. Most of them are really cheap, right? So like, not Jason Day, right? Like you could definitely play a Jason Day, but let's see, like a Sharma, right? A 14% owned Sharma that honestly I'd never heard of before this week, right? I don't care if he's up there at -4, right? He could easily shoot +3 and eject from the golf tournament. And in higher dollar contests, in single entry contests, right, he'll probably be like 25 to 30% owned. So like, no thank you there. Even in GPPs, I don't love it. Like Alex Fitzpatrick, like no thank you. Like he's 6.3% owned just because he's -4. Like look at everyone else here. They're like 0.3, 0.1% owned because they're all dog shit. They're all randoms that are literally at the bottom of the leaderboard right now, right? Like, let's not kid ourselves and pretend that they're good players, right? Guido Migliozzi, same thing. Like, he's just marginally playing better than the guys around him. And also because people like Guido, like they're going to play him in Showdown, especially the people that play Showdown, right? They're a little bit more in tune with some of the DP World Tour stuff. Like, he shouldn't be 6 times higher owned than everyone else around here. It's just like that the ownership is very predictable, and your strategy should revolve around that, right? There are a few pieces of chalk that I mixed in here, which I guess I'll go through a few. I am playing Cam Young, so I don't have exposure to Cam Young in my main slate stuff, but like I could totally see him being good chalk, right? Going out there and potentially winning the golf tournament. His ball striking numbers have been outrageous this week. They were outrageous at the Rocket Mortgage Classic. So, like there are pieces that you're going to have to build behind, right? I'm not going to give you all the chalk that I'm playing here, right? Because that's kind of like the key to the slate, right? Is like what chalk you're going to pick. But like, for example, if you're a big Fleetwood guy, you think he's going to have a day tomorrow, then play Fleetwood, right? If you really think that Brian Harman, and again, I think this is a little bit of a clown take, but if it's your take, play Brian Harman, okay? If you really think Brian Harman's a world beater and that he's going to go out there and shoot under par tomorrow, then play him in Showdown, right? If he shoots -1 or -2, then he's probably going to be optimal. I'll give you that, right? I think he's going to shoot like +4, +5. I think, like I said, he's going to fold like a cheap lawn chair. So we'll have to see. Cheers to Brian Harman out there tomorrow. He's saying all the right things in the interview, but you can tell he's thinking about it. He wouldn't even mush himself, right? And if he's not willing to mush himself, that means that he's at least thinking about it. He knows that that he should win this tournament, right? I'm sure that he knows that, and I'm sure that he knows that there's going to be a lot of outside factors conspiring against him because of that fact, right? Like, guys, if you didn't see the Taylor Gooch event when he was up by like 9 strokes at I believe it was the Live Golf Australia event, like he was like a guaranteed winner of the event. Now, granted, he did win the event, but that 9-shot lead or whatever it was over just 2 rounds turned into like a 2-shot lead by the end of the event, right? Harman's only got 5 shots here, right? So like crazy stuff happens when you have a big lead like that. So like just it's not over yet. Let me just say that much. No Chick-fil-A tomorrow. That's right. If picks come in, need steak tomorrow. Yeah, they're not even open on Sunday, right? So we couldn't even get the Chick-fil-A. So that's half the reason I got it today, is I wanted to make sure we could get Chick-fil-A before it's closed tomorrow. So like I'm thinking ahead, right? You've got Harman outright to win 3K. Best of luck. Okay. Good call on the comp course. Those pointed you towards Harman. Good stuff. You love it when a good research, trend goes your way. I have to say I'm rooting against my boy Harman. So I'd be happy either way though, right? I like when people from the community can go out there and hit for some money. But yeah, I definitely have my questions about him. He's a 50, I think he's like a 65% chance to win right now. So he's definitely, let me just check data golf. I think it might even be higher. He's got I don't have it sorted correctly. My bad, guys. He's got a 71% chance to win the golf tournament. Like, damn. Note, boys, you can't get Chick-fil-A even if you wanted to. That's correct. That's right. It's so unfortunate. I need to make a ripoff of Chick-fil-A that's only open on Sundays. Hey, fam, great stuff on the Patreon. Glad you joined. Had a great day. Absolutely. Cheers to that, Ghost. You've had a great week, but you lost your shirt today. It's unfortunate. Yeah, definitely different over on this end. It was a bloodbath. You can't wait for tomorrow to start. Damn, I gotta say, can't relate though, Maga. That's unfortunate. You gotta get in the Patreon then, man. I think almost every single person that I heard from in the Patreon, most of them like 3-4x today. I only 1.5x. So yeah, he'll get them back tomorrow. Absolutely. Like DFS is hard, right? Even sometimes I have the winner in my player pool. I'll have like 2 or 3 of the top 5. And in the large field GPPs, I mean, that's where it's the hardest. I'll make like 3/4 of my entry fees back. And I had 3 of the top 4 players or something just crazy like that. It's just like, it's tough, especially in those contests. You've got Scotty and Brooks dragging you down. Yeah, Scotty's dog shit. Honestly, he almost missed the cut. That's funny. Harman held it together today. He did. Early on, he was shaky though, right? He was like 2 over par. There was like first 4 holes, I believe. So he showed a little bit of weakness, but he reined it together and figured it out. So respect to him out there. Chick-fil-A closed tomorrow. Yeah. Don't go to KFC. Hell no, I'm not getting no KFC. And Kirkland Canadian whiskey. Oh my gosh. If you have enough property, just flag a dozen foam balls and some cups. You're saying for some golf. Okay. If the weather's kind of rough, that might help Harmon. I think late. I think it only looks like rough late. Right, the winds only really like kick up in terms of sustained winds in the second half of the day, and then the rain doesn't come until the second half of the day too. So no, I don't think that helps Harmon. Right, that's worst case scenario. Right, like you're playing in the hardest conditions. Maybe somebody that's teeing off 2-3 hours earlier, starts their round in perfect ideal conditions and gets off to like a 3-4 under par start. Like he could throw himself within Ryan Harmon's range. And Ryan might be playing in some dreadful, rain going sideways kind of conditions late, right? Like that sounds like the opposite of what you want. First Hobbit to win an Open Championship. Yeah, I can't remember any super short guys on tour, honestly. You hate the in-course out of bounds. It's sacrilege. They should just put a lake there, right? And do the same thing. Tommy says, tuned in on the Patreon last night with the boys. We all absolutely printed today. Love it, Tommy. Yeah, those props we went over on the stream, I think they went like completely swept. The ones that I clicked there. I didn't sweep on my props today. Like just fully transparent. Like we smashed. We made like 4K. I think I had like 3 props that lost today total. So like there were 3 props, but it was like 20 that hit. So I'm glad the ones that we took for the stream were all hits. That's the good thing, right? Because then everyone gets to hit on that. You're pulling for Rom now. You have quite the tidy sum on his outright. Yeah, I would like that too, man. I'm with you on that one. It helped me in DFS as well. I need Tommy Fleetwood to kind of get out of there. I do need Harmon to hold on. Harmon holding on would be huge. Let's see. He said, damn son. What's the damn son about, bro? No idea. You're right, Luke. I think you're going to do that tonight. I got you. Went 5 of 5 on Underdog. Thanks, Luke. Absolutely. I think one of them was a push, right? Maybe one of them was a hit. I don't know. Use Underdog for the first time today. Do the snake drafts. Have bonus points for round 4. Honestly, I'm not sure, Alex. I don't do many of those myself. It'll say in the scoring. So before you go into that contest, you should be able to check that. I would imagine they don't. I feel like they don't. They might, though. Like, double check it, right? Don't take my word on that. Good few other cashes in Showdown also. Just need to bink a GPP. Don't be counting on a GPP to get your bankroll up, okay? So just aside, okay? Because I feel like we get these kind of conversations a lot. You're saying to get your bankroll up, just play casually, right? If you're playing DFS thinking that you're going to make like a shit ton of money, like, no, unless you're doing this professionally, right? Like I play with a bankroll. I go out there, I do a lot of bankroll management shit because I do this to generate income, right? 99% of you out there, right? It'd be nice to make money on the side. You're playing this for fun, right? Like, don't be counting on winning a GPP to like spruce up your bankroll. Like, if you play $200 a week for fun, like play your $200 a week. Like, I hate hearing that. And like people out there be like, oh, should I do bankroll management for props, so on and so forth? If you've got $200 in your Prize Picks account, no, you're not doing bankroll management. Because if you were, you'd be playing like a 10-cent entry, right? And you can't even do that over there on Prize Picks. So like, I don't know. I just a little pet peeve of mine there. I feel like people have unrealistic expectations. A GPP win is like a 0.001% outcome. If Rahm or Kim Young finish -10, does Harmon win? That's a great question, right? So Harmon would have to come back to the field. So that's assuming that those guys go out there, shoot like 5 3 under par, something like that. I guess, no, sorry, 4 3 under par for those 2 players. He probably wins because I feel like Brian Harmon can shoot +2. I feel like he can shoot a couple over par, right? Where it gets a little dicey for Brian Harmon, right, is if those guys get to something like -11, -12, because I do think that he's going to shoot over par tomorrow, Brian Harmon, that is, but I don't think he's going to like leak strokes to the field, right? It would take a miss of the green on 17, right, hit it in one of those bunkers. It would take an out of bounds, one of those internal out of bounds, to get Brian Harmon to one of those just super ugly scores. And I feel like that's not going to happen. But who knows? It could. Killed the props today. Was late to pick today. Hopefully some good props. Yeah, I posted a few on Patreon. So if you're on there on the Patreon, check those out. But yeah, we're definitely going to try and get back at it. Decky Bryson cost you 2 additional 20Xs. Yo, the Peach, I gotta say, bro, you got kicked from the Discord by a mod for being like super negative today about like bringing up the Decky missing. Like why even bring that up, bro? You made like 4 or 5x your money today, and then you come into the stream and like complain about something. I'm like, bro, like I feel like you just don't get it, bro. I don't know. Well, we'll leave it at that. I'm trying to cheers. We're just gonna ignore that, but that's the truth about that, the Peach. Fleetwood usually rallies on Sundays. He does. I don't hate the idea of him having a decent day. I took his under on strokes on Underdog. I definitely think that more often than not, right, he's going to get himself into the mix. He's kind of chalky, that kind of thing. So I don't know if in Showdown he's my favorite play because I feel like someone else might be able to like clip him, might be able to go out there have a slightly better round. But yeah, that putter kind of worries me. Props were nice today. You think the books thought the course would play much harder? No, the books thought it would play easier actually, Ghost. So that's why I actually went out there and took overs on birdies and took unders on strokes. I was somebody that was kind of like between whether it was thinking it was going to be easier or hard out there tomorrow. I was like, okay, like it's going to rain, but like the course has been +2 the first 2 days. Like, is it really going to be that much easier? DraftKings was first to market. They posted Scotty at like 68.5. And I was like, oh shit, like that's notable. Like that's the same as the first day, right? And they thought it was going to play super easy before the golf tournament started. Then I saw Caesars go out there and post a bunch of low lines too. You had the guys at like 69 strokes juiced towards the under. So when I saw that, right, I had to attack that board because over there on Prize Picks and Underdog, they priced it like they did for round 2, right? Because it was super difficult out there. So I have to kind of give credit where it's due, right? Like, I don't know. I thought that because the pins looked easy, because it was raining, it might play easier. But like seeing that from the sports books just made me like want to jump all over it. So I'm not usually huge on sportsbook odds. I'm not a huge plus EV betting kind of guy. I definitely think there's value there, but I don't think it's the end all be all. But it definitely helped out today. I'll say that much. Yeah, you definitely were complaining to Peach, and that's like a common thing for you, bro. Like this is something that other members have complained to me about, and that I've actually had conversations with you about before. So the fact that you don't get it yet is crazy, dude. Crazy, crazy. You're on the Patreon. You guys are all in trouble now. Oh boy, we got. Hey, I think that's a good thing. Hopefully, you're not a mush like my boy Eros. I was getting worried there for a second because you sound like my boy Eros, and I'm like, is this an Eros burner out here that we got? But I think you were around before Eros got the boot. 100% for fun. Yeah, exactly. Right. Like if you're out there thinking that this is like, if you tail my props, like that is what I play. Like I do it professionally, but like if you're out there playing for fun, like don't treat it like that. It's not that same level, right? Thoughts on McIntyre playing early? I love him, Mark. He's actually a player I want to talk about. Did my mix and match on original props? Did I mix and match them? I did not, Dylan. So if you're talking about the 5-man, I have a limit of $250, so I can't, but I definitely would if you can. Right? I would mix and match those. Let's see. Thoughts on Fowler? I think he's an okay play. I think the ownership's low enough, right? What I got him at like 10%, lower than that 8.1% ownership. And if he goes out there, he shoots 5-6 under par, that's a top 5, top 10 finish, right? You're getting placement points. So yeah, I like a lot of the guys in that range. I mean, look at them. Most of them are -1, right? From Hideki the whole way up to Jordan Spieth, everyone's either -1 or -2. You see that Jordan Spieth's getting a little bit of ownership. You've got a little bit there on Hideki too. But all of these kind of guys, I'd lump in together and say they're good GPP plays, right? I'm not the biggest Wyndham Clark guy, so maybe I wouldn't take him. But outside of that, you'd get no complaints from me on the other guys there. You misspell that 99% of the time. Yep, happens. You have your rights on Cam and Rom. You're saying outrights? Okay. So maybe, Rom might be able to get it done. I'm not sure about Cam. Cam -1, right? He's too far back, right? Did anyone jump on Rom before he went off 80-1 pre-round? I didn't. I thought about it, though. I think he would kill Underdog snake drafts. It's auto, puts up chalk. Yeah, a lot of people just auto draft, right? Is that what you're saying there? Yeah, everyone's auto drafting rather than making their own rankings. Yeah, especially if it's something that like you're focusing on. The issue for me, Alex, is I like don't have enough time to allocate towards doing that. I spend a lot of time on Showdown. I spend even more time on props. Frankly, most of my time for PGA is spent on props at this point. So I don't have the most time to do that, but if I did, I probably would. And hey, if you keep coming in here and bragging about that, Alex, you're going to entice me into playing it because I can see the edge. I always tell people, I give people advice on it all the time. A lot of people in my Discord, my Patreon play those, and they're usually asking like, what edge I would go with. And it's always right. Like if there's an AM wave advantage, take the guys that don't even have an ADP that are in the good wave, and it's usually a huge edge. Does Braceface beat his bro? You would have to think so, Jack. I'd have to say, as the older brother, it would be disrespectful if not. Thought on Brooks? He's 2.8% owned. I'm playing him, right? He's only 2.8% owned. Like that's disrespectful. You play him in 6% of lineups. You technically have leverage to the field. I'm going to have a whole lot more than 6%, but yes, I'm playing him. What books do you use to compare strokes lines? I'm going to keep that to myself, but mostly like DraftKings, like Caesars and stuff. But like there's 5 or 6 of them. They make, well, what are you saying about birdie better matchups? I have no idea what you're saying, Ghost. You're going to have to resend those. You sent 3 messages in a row, and they kind of don't make sense. Todd says, Cam Young or Rahm. So for me, if you have the salary, get to John Rahm. But I mean, the thing I really like about getting to somebody like Cam Young is that he's cheap enough to be a second man in, right? So I can take maybe a differentiation piece up top. Maybe that's Scotty at 4.9%. Maybe it's Cam Young at 8.2. Maybe it's Brooks at 2.8%. I already told you I'm playing Brooks in a lot of lineups. So if I start with a Brooks and then I take Cam Young as my second man in, right? That's, one piece of chalk, one piece of differentiation. It's a good way to, make up for the fact that I'm taking the guy in second place, that like everyone's going to play tomorrow, right? So I kind of like getting to Cam Young a little bit more because up top, there are a lot of just obvious pivots. Like literally no one's going to play Cam Smith, Brooks Koepka, Scotty Scheffler, literally like no one's going to play. Less than 5% ownership I have there in Scotty Scheffler. If you're in a big field single entry, Scotty might be sub 2% owned. Brooks might be sub 1% owned in some of those contests. And Cam Smith might be sub 5% owned in some of those large, higher dollar single entries. If I was playing in those tomorrow, and there's a good chance I'm going to enter a few, I'm going to be playing these sort of players, right? Like the guys that are literally going to maybe be 0.0% owned other than me taking them in those GBPs. So that's going to be my strategy. And then, like I said, the piece of chalk that I'm going to give you here, there's a few others that I am playing, okay? You can look at them on the Patreon. Again, I can't give everyone the nuts out there, right? But yeah, Cam Young, like if I had to pick somebody to make a push tomorrow, it's Cam because he's the closest to the lead. He's playing well, and it's not just like a 1-2 round thing, and he can take advantage of the par fives. You have big bets is what you're saying. Okay, gotcha. Yeah, hopefully good old Rombo. I mean, I can see both of them getting it done, but I think that Rombo might be able to get it done. Who knows? All right, let's go through a few value plays. So we talked about the top of the board. I think I gave you my sentiment there. If you want my player poll, check out the Patreon page. But where it gets a little bit more interesting and where I think you play the weather edge, right, is in when you start to get down to like the 6-7K range. So up top, it's a little bit more, I would say, game theory based for me. But like we were looking at with this weather forecast, the first 4 or 5 hours are going to be ideal. So like an Adam Scott just seems like the nuts play. Like, does it not? Right? +3 going off early, low owned. I'd say decent price tag at $7,900. Like when Stuart Sink is $7,700. Like that just seems like outrageous to me. Let's see a few other plays. We got Christian Bezainhout, right? I know Bezainhout, not a sexy player. Cool. I need to. Oh, got some gas going on. Let me get a sip of this. By the way, that Crown of Coke, way strong. Yikes. Christian Bezainhout, though, right? Not a real sexy player, right? You're not going to be like, ooh, love playing Christian Bezainhout today, right? Guy looks like an absolute dweeb. Either way, though, good putter. Guy can get hot in a hurry, right? So for as much of a geek as he looks like, guy can go out there and just throw darts, hit a few putts there, get us something like 4 or 5 under par, and it won't matter if he's finishing in like 20th place, like even with that kind of round. So I like a few of the value plays that are starting early. Don't play Christo Lamprecht unless you want your lineups wrecked. That's probably not advisable. Louis Oosthuizen somebody that could just randomly pop, right? Alex Noren, I always like playing him. He never gives up on a golf tournament. Abraham Answer is the ultimate popper, the ultimate showdown play, and he's 6,800 bucks. Guys, back in the day, you got to remember with Answer, right? I know he's on Live. Talk shit about Live all you want, right? There are Live players in contention of pretty much every major, right? So like, shut the fuck up about that narrative. You're just a hater on their tour, which I understand being a hater for their tour, but that's what you are, right? You're being biased as fuck. Guys like Abraham Answer used to be 8K range golfers in this kind of field. At the very least, top of the 7K range, and he used to be chalk, right? Like, let's not forget who this guy is. And I know maybe you're new to DFS, you don't even know who this Answer guy is because you don't play Live Golf and you don't know who these Live golfers are. I'll just tell you, he was like the former Wyndham Clark, okay? Like, everyone fucking played this guy no matter what. He was maybe the better example is a Corey Connors, okay? The Corey Connors that was like constantly overrated, constantly overpriced and overowned, no matter what golf tournament you were at. That was Abraham Answer. Now I've got him at 3%, and he's $6,800. Like, and it's just every time he's in a field. Even like the Live stuff, no one plays him anymore. Like, I don't know. To me, maybe I'm a sucker for the old days. Like, I'm just giving the guy too much credit. Like, he is a legitimately good golfer. So I'm playing those kind of guys going off early, right? So that's the tangent on Answer. I hate the disrespect. I've got that shoe in the background. I'm sure you can see it there on the shelf back there. It's got Abraham Answer's signature on it, Webb Simpson, Justin Thomas, and Cam Smith, right? So what? 3 players in this field this week, and then we got Webb Simpson, the absolute bum. But yeah, that's my rant on Abraham Answer. I think he's the nuts play tomorrow. A few other guys here in this mid 6K range I'd play. But in terms of like the pure bottom of the board, like there's like 1-2 guys you might want to consider, but not all that much. But like some of these Euros, like a Victor Perez, you could take for a bounce back, right? Marcel Siem going off early. I don't think he's a terrible play. Kurt Kitayama, right? Where I'm trying to take advantage of the weather, right, is with the scrubs, right? There's no real chalky scrubs that I'm playing. So that means guys like Sharma, right? You know, I'm fading. Dietrich, Benny Ann, like just like no thank you. I don't care that they're -3, they're -1, right? If anything, they get to play in the shitty rainstorms tomorrow afternoon, right? They get to play in the slightly higher wind gusts. Like, good for you, right? Going out there playing the guy that played well, they're gonna have a damn hard time trying to do that on Sunday. So I'm gonna take a few stands up top. They're gonna be on guys I think can actually hold their own up top. And then I'm just going to scatter shot down low, right? And it's not going to just be like randomly picking guys, right, that are going off early. It's taking players that have upside or either mispriced or are hitting the ball well through the first 3 rounds, right? Everyone that's in my player pool can say one of those 3 things, and usually like 2 or 3 of them of those 3 criterion that they fit. So that's what I'm looking at for Showdown today. We'll field any questions on specific players, and then we'll touch on some lineup construction stuff and then props. So let's see what's going on. You're saying Fitzpatrick for birdie or better matchup. Gotcha. Yeah, you're saying blame the iPad, not the Crown Royal. I got to say, yeah, iPads, not as easy to use as they could be, but let's take a look. So they're in a matchup against who? Are they against each other? Is that what that is? Is that really a thing? If it is, that's really cool. They should do that. No, they're not. So Matty Fitz is against Louis. Who's the brother against? Do they have him on there? He's against Sharma. I guess I don't hate Fitzy against Louis, but the issue with that is that Louis is teeing off earlier, right? Louis is like 3 over par. Fitz is under par, so Fitz is going to be in the harder conditions. Yeah, I would probably avoid those. I have a feeling a lot of those birdie or better matchups are better players like a Fitzy in the worst conditions against guys in better conditions that are quote unquote worse players. So I'd be a little bit scared about that. This guy Tommy says, how are the cats today? That nice pussy. Oh boy. They're doing well. You like Live, it's different. You just can't stand the background music. Yeah, I gotta say the music, probably not for everyone. I kind of like it, right? Kind of keeps it more of like a lively atmosphere. When I'm out there on the golf course playing golf, I always play with music on. So like for me, that's kind of the norm. So I know tournament golf, like that's kind of sacrilege and whatnot. But if anything, I kind of feel like it helps drain out the crowd noise, which is always going to be there, right? No matter what golf tournament you're at, which to me would help, right? If I had like background music that was always going to be there, that's not a problem. The problem is just like a random person like just like talking in my backswing, right? Just like abruptly. So I don't know. Maybe the music isn't for everyone. I could get that, right? It could be a little bit annoying, particularly if it's not your type of music. That even more so. Like it kind of is my type of music, but I don't know. As a player, I don't know if I'd hate it. I feel like it might actually help. The music was better, maybe you could deal with it. Exactly. I feel like the music, especially because it's all like EDM and it's like it's very much so targeted towards like young 20-year-olds. It might not be for everyone. Webb Simpson catching strays. Oh boy. Hey, I gotta say, my boy Webb, I give him a lot more respect than most people. He's had a hell of a career, and he's kind of like a Stuart Sink. He's just randomly gonna win a golf tournament, and it's probably gonna be like Harbortown or Sedgefield or Wyndham, one of those places that he always wins at. Right? You weren't into golf yet? Yeah, you gotta get to the next one out there. I think they're going back this year, right? I'm going to the Live Miami event. That's actually going to be the tour championship for them. They do a match play for the first 2 days, and then I forget what they do for the last day. I think it's like some stroke play variation of some sort of team golf. It's going to be fun, so I'll be down there. They had a live event here in Orlando. I actually went to that, Ghost. I went to that live event up there. The golf course left a lot to be desired, but a pretty cool setup, I have to say. A lot. That was the last one I went to. It's also the most recent live event that I went to. They had a lot of stuff set up for people that weren't watching the golf, like in terms of like attractions and entertainment. It was like almost like you were at a amusement park. Like frankly, like it was like you were at like a county fair almost. Like it was like that much extra stuff to do at the golf tournament. So like I know most of us in here are golf hardcore fans. We're there to watch the golf. That's what I did most of the time. I just peeked around. I tried to take a look at like what Live was offering. It's a lot more than just golf, which is I kind of think what they're going for. Like I know the whole music thing kind of annoying. People were mentioning that. I think they don't care about that as much because they're trying to attract different types of fans. Like they're going for just the mainstream entertainment aspect is what I think. And they're definitely, if you go to an event, you'll get that kind of feel for it. You're I have no idea what you're saying there, man. Just two you need for a tournament play. Okay, so Bryson versus Robbie Mack in terms of a matchup, as what I think you're saying. I would take Bryson there. And then you're saying Fowler, Xander, Cantlay, they're all -1. So you're trying to choose one of those guys. If you had to choose one of those three, I would go with Xander. And then you're saying you've got Fowler and Bryson. So I definitely agree with you on Bryson. Fowler's okay. I kind of like Xander a little bit more just because he likes a link style golf course. Has proven it a little bit. So yeah, sorry, I didn't get your question there at first, but it makes sense. Yeah, if you're trying to decide between those two groupings, it'd be Bryson Xander for me. But honestly, Fowler's not a bad choice. Don't want to talk you off of that. Fowler would probably be my second choice there. What do I think about Hen? He seems to always shoot 63 on Sunday. Yeah, I'm playing him. That's for damn sure. I don't think it's a bad play. Like the tee time's not ideal. Like he's going off in the second half of tee time. So like he's probably going to be playing in the shitty conditions, but Hen can handle that, right? He's a Euro. He's proven that before. What's better than Fitzy? Two Fitzies? Somebody's going to win a lot of money tomorrow when they play both of those two together. Yeah, the music's okay at first, but after hour 3, you're done with it. Yep, I can see that. I got to say, the other thing at the live event is they didn't have enough concession stations, or maybe they're just concession people or just super slow. If you wanted to go buy a beer, it took you like 40 minutes to get through the line. That was annoying. That I got to point out is just like they've got to improve on that aspect, right? If they're going for the whole entertainment thing, like you've got to focus on the concessions too, then, right? Like that's part of that. You've got $400 on a free bet. Should you split it and double down on Rom and Cam Young? Probably not, Todd, right? If you had a $400 free bet, right, I'd probably go out there and take the market without Brian Harman. So most books are doing a market right now without Brian Harman on it. I'd probably go out there and I'd take like John Rahm. Like he's probably minus money in that market, maybe like plus 150 or something like that. If I had a free bet, that's what I would do. Jeremy said, did I go over thoughts on McIntyre? Yeah, I like him. Super low owned. So McIntyre, because of how he's played, right, no one's going to get there. Where's he at? There he is, right? 4.3% owned, but he was like 30% owned for GPPs this week. Yeah, I'm all about Robbie Mack for sure. Sunday, resurgence like you saw last week, right? Won't be to get in contention, but it'll be to go out there and have a decent round. You're totally a cart music guy when you play the Bluetooth speaker. Yeah, I don't have one of the Bluetooth speakers, but I always I put my phone on full blast. It's one of like the bigger iPhones that we've got here, so it's pretty damn loud. Going to the live event in Greenbrier next month. Yeah, should be fun, dude. That's the next one, right? You got to give us some insider info, D Young. Hop into the live stream on Wednesday when we're doing the weekly stream and let us know some stuff, like maybe about the weather specifically. That'd be huge. Maga says thought Bryson was going to play better this week. Yeah, he played well the first 3 majors, not so much this time, right? Ghost says, how long till you see Bryson on the winning side? He seems to be playing better. He'll probably win. Sorry, I got ahead of myself there. A live event before you see him win like one of these majors. So yeah, keep an eye out for that. I think it's coming soon. You got Roman plus 12,000 this morning. I'm jealous, Roman. So I talked about potentially taking a few guys for outrights. John Rahm would have been one. I would have taken, probably would have taken Rory for an outright. I probably would have taken Scotty, who had a horrible day today. And I probably would have taken, Ricky. I probably would have doubled down on, right? So a few guys that I already had outrights on. And yeah, Rahm would have been the nuts because that's plus, 120 to 1. Jeez Louise, I am jealous of you over there, Roman. So let's hop over there to DraftKings, do a little bit of lineup construction stuff, and then we'll talk some props afterwards. So let's go ahead, bring up DraftKings, and talk through a few things. So not much to talk about in terms of GPPs, right? If you're playing in GPPs, mix in your 1-2 pieces of chalk and move on. If you're on the Patreon, you know who I'm playing, right? You guys already know that I'm taking quite a bit of Cam Young on the slate. As long as I'm taking some sort of a pivot up top, right, I have no issues with starting with the Cam Young, right? I can have Cam Young, take Cam Smith as a little bit of, ownership differentiation. Down here, this 8K range, you can probably take one more guy that's expensive. So let's just go ahead and throw Xander in there, right? I already told you guys, I really do like Xander for tomorrow's round. So if we were to start with like those 3 players, we have one guy who's low owned, one guy who's like moderately owned, I'd say, in Xander Schauffele, and then the high owned Cam Young, which I think you can probably get away with. So even if you took like an Adam Scott there, right, that's a little bit of differentiation. It's throwing a McIntyre, right? I think that makes quite a bit of sense too. Like this lineup is way more differentiated. Like it's differentiated enough for us, right? Like we don't got to worry about like duplicating or any of that kind of bullshit. So my player pool for GPPs is not that complicated. Like I'm taking the guys that I have marked down as a yes, and I'm not going to have that much to worry about when I'm building lineups. Like I'm not going to have a bunch of chalk that I'm worried about pairing up together. If I was in cash, right, I think that Ryan Harmon, like you just play him in cash tomorrow. Like I know that I was shitting on him. I was talking about how I think he's probably going to blow up. Like in cash though, I'm 100% playing Ryan Harmon tomorrow. So I'm not playing cash for Sunday Showdown. Let me just go ahead and preface it with that. But if I was, I'd be playing Ryan Harmon. And then outside of that, probably building the same kind of way. Probably mixing in a few of these 8K options that I think are mispriced, and then probably some Cam Young too over there in that cash kind of build. In single entries, if you really want to play Brian Harmon, I think that's probably the best way to get exposure. So like if you really wanted to play Harmon and Young together, I think the best place to do so other than cash would probably be over there in a single entry, right? So you still got to differentiate. So still mix in, like maybe it's a Koepka to try and get things a little bit different. Maybe you try and mix in another, player that's going to be super low owned. So maybe it's even like a Bryson, right? I mean, I don't know. You got to try and, if you're taking guys like a Young and a Harmon together, you got to really try and get different at least 1-2 spots. So that would be my recommendation. It's not my favorite. I'm not playing any lineups with guys like Harmon and Young together. But if you're doing so, I suppose it's doable. It's just it's not my favorite kind of build. Let's see, any DFS questions? If not, we're going to hop into the prop side. Great week in Patreon. You'd be dumb not to join. Yeah, I mean, I got to like sell it more. Like, I don't know. I started this YouTube. People don't know this. Like, I started this YouTube like a year and a half ago-ish in terms of my channel. And honestly, I haven't really ramped it up to like commercial size yet, where like I'm doing like professional graphics, editing, that sort of stuff, where I'm like going out there and like actively promoting and like marketing like my Patreon and stuff. probably got to start doing that soon, right? I mean, the results like speak for themselves. I think that's why we've already had so much growth here in the channel and so much growth in the Patreon. But yeah, I gotta start being like the other touts out there and just like posting screenshot after screenshot, right? Like I've got the screenshots, I just don't post them because I don't know. I'd rather be watching golf or like playing COD with my buddies than worrying about going out there and going after cloud on Twitter. I don't know. It just makes me think, Jake, right? We gotta pump up the numbers in the Patreon somehow. So maybe just gloating will help. I don't know. What is cash? So that's like a 50-50 contest. So like if you see like the double ups or like there are some 50-50 contests that you see out there where you get just a little bit less than double your money for cashing. It's a contest where you're just trying to finish in the top half. You're just trying to go out there and beat half the other people. So your goal, right, isn't to finish first out of like 10,000 people. It's just to have a slightly better lineup than most. So you'll take a lot more like chalk in those kind of builds, and you'll probably take a few less risk in those kind of lineups. Facts, Jake. Cash is head-to-head. Yeah, head-to-head's a good way to put it too. I know we're all in golf, but can't wait for your NFL picks. Yeah, I got to say, Bradley, NFL picks, don't want to say like it's not my main sport, but like golf's definitely my main thing. With NFL, it's all very data based. For me, I just go out there, I play purely by the numbers, and a lot of the value plays when we get to NFL, and like especially for DFS, when you see some of the value plays that I'm taking, you be like what the hell? Like what are you talking about? Just trust the process. Like I'm the king of finding random value plays. Best $10 you made, best $10 ever. You're saying you made 2K this weekend because of you. Yeah, that pays for like 10 years of Patreon access. Actually, more than that, right? Because it's $10 a month times 12, so $120. Yeah, but you paid for over like 15, 16 years of Patreon access this weekend, right? Think about it that way, right? So, all right, let's talk about props, right? Let's stop just, I guess, talking about how we did today and talk about how maybe we can attack this board. Prize Picks, I think, has a slightly better priced board than what we have on Underdog. At first, Underdog opened with very similar lines to what we have over here on Prize Picks. But as time has gone on, we've seen a little bit of drifting between the two books. We've seen guys get bumped over there on both sites. Like Tommy Fleetwood, for example. What is he over here on Underdog now? Looks like we're getting some sort of bumps. It looks like they're bumping in both directions. Yeah. So as per usual, right? These boards are starting to collapse onto each other. You're starting to see the guys that are on Prize Picks bump up. You're starting to see the guys over here in Underdog that are bumping down. Honestly, a lot of that early value is where I targeted. I went over here in Underdog and I took a few unders. So they had just, I guess, for example, they had Scotty at 69.5. They had Xander at 70. They had Cam Smith at 70. They had guys like Tommy Fleetwood at 70.5. Tom Kim at 71 strokes. Half a stroke to 1 stroke discrepancies between the two sites. So that's what I locked in early. Honestly, it looks like they took a lot of that away, unfortunately. So I don't know if there's a ton of value still left on the board right now. But what I would say is tomorrow morning, the best value you're going to be able to get is reacting to what happens for the first hour or so of play. If you're going to be up when this golf tournament starts or when play starts tomorrow morning, you're going to get a huge read on the golf course. I'll remind you, today, the scoring average was half a stroke under par. The day before, it was 2.5 strokes over par. The first 5 or 6 groups, like if they play the first 4 or 5 holes, we're going to know how the golf course is playing. Right today, all of them played slightly over par. The first 2 days, I mean, look at this, way over par, right? Day 1, way over par through the first 4 holes. Just check in right after the first 4 or 5 groups play, get through the stretch. If it's playing much harder than what you saw today, it's going to be over city, right? It's going to be going over here and trying to pound the overs, right? Because there's no sort of penalty for taking overs over here in Underdog. If you go in here and you see that the scores end up being a lot easier, right? They look a lot like what you saw for, Saturday's round, right? Then maybe you go in here and you take some overs for birdies. So it's at least at this point, I think a lot of the early value has moved. Over here on Prize Picks, this Fleetwood line is actually bumped up quite a bit, which I don't really understand. I guess it's weather-based, right? People that are looking at the late projections, they go like, oh, Tommy Fleetwood's going to get taken off the course. His projection, and actually I have these up here. Let's just go ahead and show you, right? His projection over here on DraftKings is 69.5, okay? Over here on Caesars William Hill, he's at 69.5, right? Why the hell is he at 70.5 strokes now? In fact, I'm probably going to add a slip here on stream using him. So let's go with that. Let's see what else has been bumped, because it looks like a few other things have moved. I knew that we had 70 on Spieth. Okay. Hideki 70.5. Okay. That seems about right. Yeah, they've bumped a few things up, which honestly, it just gives us more value, literally. Gives us more props that we can take. 71.5 on Adam Scott. What is his prop over here? It's going to be the question of the day. What is Adam Scott at? Is he not on here? Oh my God. I'm going to unplug my mic if I try and type on my keyboard. I can almost guarantee it. So I'm so scared to do so. Is Adam Scott even on here? Maybe he's over here on this betting site. Okay, so he's definitely not on Caesars. He's got to be on here, right? There he is, right? He's at 70.5. He's a stroke lower. Okay. All right. We're nuking it. So that's a stroke discrepancy compared to the sports books, which you might go, oh, but Underdog probably has them at the same line, right? So let's see. First off, they have them at 70. They have them lower now, right? They adjusted to me putting out my lines, right? What do they have Adam Scott at? 71 strokes, so he's lower. The sports books also both have them lower, right? Especially DraftKings Sportsbook over there. Absolutely. I'm going to take those two. So I think that's some value that you can take. We can probably find a little bit more on here too. Might as well, right? I mean, all the other stuff's been bumped. I mean, the JTA and Red Mamba. I gotta say, I sent a message there in the Discord earlier of me smoking the Red Mamba pack, which I'm not gonna say anything else to self-incriminate myself, but yeah, we're definitely smoking that Red Mamba pack tonight. Maybe we're smoking that JTA pack too. He seems to be bumping shit all over the place like an absolute fool. Heading back to real Liverpool in the morning after watching today's action. Sounds like a lot of fun, man. I'm jealous. I got to say, I wish I came over there. Let's go, DFS. What's going on, Jeremy? Call me Luke, you fucking tool bag. What's going on there, Jeremy? If you call me by my nickname, I'm going to kill you. Paul says Thursday and Friday were great days. 3rd and 17th, great spots. We'll try to get into 17th. That's awesome. Yeah, root on Tommy Lad for me. That'd be awesome. And definitely enjoy it out there. Should be a lot of fun, man. Interesting takes. I don't know what's interesting, dude. It's pretty straightforward, right? The Underdog board, you have value compared to it, and then you look at the sports books and they have lower lines. Like I don't really know what's interesting about that. Maybe you let me know what's interesting, right? Since it's so interesting. Nico says Homa strokes and birdies on Prize Picks. Let's take a look. So what's his strokes at? I think he probably got bumped up too, right? Because he didn't have the best round today. All the slapdick dumbasses out there that think that they can react to a 1-round sample size and find success are probably going to take that. So let's see. He's 70.5. What is he on the sports books? He's at the same number. He is juiced minus 135. So I guess that's not dog shit, right? What is he over here? He's 70.5 too. Also slightly juiced towards the under. Maybe not my favorite, right? I'm not going to do all my analysis based on these sports books, but like I like seeing that as a little bit of backup. Like I think conditions are going to be easier, but like let's compare him to the other guys at 70.5. Like 70.5, he's the same projection as a Fitz. Like that kind of makes sense. He's a stroke behind of Hovland, like, right? Homa's not quite the player as a Hovland. Like he's a stroke behind a Xander Schauffele. Like to me, that kind of makes sense, right? He's like a stroke behind a Cam Smith. Like that's, I don't know. COD, yeah, I'm down to play COD when we're done here. What do I think the winning score is going to be? Minus 12. Are you guys playing Call of Duty right now? Oh my gosh. You guys are blowing up my chat and blowing up my phone next to me right now. Good stuff. Good stuff. All right. In terms of underdog props, let's see. Has anything moved on there that we can open up for value? I would say that's probably it over here on Prize Picks. Like, I don't know if I love that Max Homa prop. If we're trying to find anything else, like, I don't see a ton that's moved. Maybe Sanjay, right? What is Sanjay over here on good old doggy dog? Sungbay M, 70.5. Okay. What's he on the sports books? 70.5. Okay. No value. I guess we found some decent value there with the Fleetwood prop and whatnot. That was a whole stroke advantage. A lot of these other ones are spot on now. Brooks, by the way, I took for under 70 strokes earlier. That's still at 70. The reason why I did that is over here on the sports books, right? He's insane value at that sort of projections. Let me find Brooksy. Show you what I'm talking about. There he is. What 69.5, right? Is even money. You go over here to this site. I don't know if they have Brooks up. No, they don't. They used to have him up. So Caesars had Brooks up before. He was at 69.5 strokes, and he was just minus 175 to the under. So for whatever reason, they took him off. That was one of the main reasons I went over there and bet Brooks for the under 70. So let's go ahead and throw him on there. Anything else that hasn't bumped yet? Yeah, this Brian Harman prop. I took his over 71 strokes. He's at 71.5 on a lot of these books. So if you go down here, take a look at Brian Harman. See, where's he at? Look, 71.5, and he's juiced towards the over. You go over here to Caesars. We find Brian Harman. Where's good old Brian at? There he is, right? 71.5, juiced towards the over, right? So over here on Underdog, we're getting 71, so a lower projection. And again, it was juiced towards the over, right? So we're getting a lot of value both with the 0.5 and the juice there. And like I said, this Brooks prop's the same thing. It was like minus 175 for the under 69.5. So if I was going to take anything on Underdog right now, it would be these two props. Over there on Prize Picks, what was it? It was the under on Tommy Ladd. Where's Tommy Ladd at? There he is. And then who was the other one? It was another 70.5. Am I blind? I'm probably just blind. All right. Well, can't find it on there. You saw it there before 5 minutes ago. You guys get the point. That's all we've got here for the live stream. Apparently, I'm being summoned to play COD, which must be a thing. So go ahead and do that. Best of luck out there with your DFS lineups, with your props there for tomorrow. Of course, guys, going to be doing the same thing for next week. Not going to be another live stream this week for Showdown, but plenty of core plays, plenty of course breakdowns, all that to come. So hit that like button on the way out. Also subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any of that to come. And yeah, I guess my buddies are down there. My brother are down there being clowns. Penthouse to outhouse for you today. Hey, someone's got to lose the money for us to make money on the Patreon. So, hey, sucks to suck, man. You got to get on the Patreon page. You play some COD on the good old Patreon. Hop on the Discord. Maybe we'll invite you. Thoughts on Homa? I think he's a decent play. Appreciate everything, of course. Best of luck, Roman. Same here, Metro. Yeah, you guys getting in the Patreon. You guys are taking L's out there. It's okay. Someone's got to take L's, like I said, for us to make money, right? Forward hat Luke ready for Sunday business. Yep. Yeah, no backwards hat today. Just join the Patreon. Let's go. Sweet. Welcome on in, D Young. And yeah, best of luck to everyone out there. Best of luck. Hey, I got to say, guys, right? Not everyone can eat, right? That's okay. But as long as my people in the Patreon are eating, I'm going to be a happy guy. So let's finish off the week strong. Let's go out there, have ourselves a day for props and Showdown. And I'll catch you guys tomorrow.